Hello, second grade. How are you? We've been doing so much with adding and subtracting our two-digit numbers, and we are getting ready to dive into something a little bit more exciting but tricky. I cannot wait. Let's go ahead and get our target ready, and then we're going to dive right in. I can add 10 and 100 to a three-digit number. And friends, there's one thing I didn't add on our learning target today, and that is that we are going to do our very best to do this mentally. Now, we already know how to add 10 and take away 10 to a two-digit number or to a one-digit number. So this isn't going to be very different. It's just adding that extra digit in there. So let's take a peek and we're going to get started. But before we do that, I'm going to underline those important parts of our learning target. So we're going to add, okay, so that means we're going to get right on in and we're going to make that number bigger, right? We're going to add 10 and we're going to add 100 to a three-digit number. Now, what does a three-digit number mean? That's right. It means that the number has a number in the hundreds place, a number in the tens place, and a number in the ones place. Okay? That's that three-digit number. So I could have 532. And that would be a three-digit number. The 5 is worth how much? 500. The 3 is worth how much? 30. The 2 is worth how much? 2. Because remember, from all of our work that we've done so far this year, that each digit in its place has a different value. So this is worth hundreds, so it's 5 hundreds, 3 tens, and then we have our 2 ones. Let's go ahead and start out our little hook. We're going to see if we can do some work with these numbers. So what if I draw those ones? How many do I have? I have 6. Now what if I was to add this? Now what do I have? I have 16. How many tens do I have in 16? I have 1 10. And how many ones do I have in 16? I have 6 ones. Now before, I just had 6 ones and I added 10 to it to make 16. Now, what's going to happen? I had 16. Now how much do I have? I have 26. How do I know I have 26? I have 2 tens and I have still 6 ones. Which place changed? My tens place. And why did my tens place change, but my ones place did not? Because I added a stick to my tens place. I didn't add any ones, did I? So my ones place stayed the same. My tens place changed. Now, what number do I have? I have 126. Ooh, talk to me about what you see. How many hundreds do I have? Okay, I have 100. I still have 2 tens. And I have 6 ones. What place changed when I added my 100? My hundreds place. Did my tens place change? Why not? I didn't add any tens to it, right? I still had my 2 tens that I had before. Did my ones place change? Nope. I had those 6 ones from the beginning when I first drew them. I had 6 ones when I had 16. I had 6 ones when I added another 10 to make 26. And when I added that 100, I still didn't add any ones. And so my ones place stayed the same. When we're adding our 10 and our 100 today, we're going to be paying close attention to what place is changing. Now, my goal for you all is to do a lot of this in your head. But if you need to draw it to see it, please feel free, because guess what? Sometimes we have to prove to ourselves how we know, okay? And so that's quite all right if you need to take a minute and draw it, just like I did right here, to help you see it. And as we see those patterns over and over and over again, that might be just the proof you need to know that you're doing it right, okay? So we're gonna be looking to see what places are changing today, all right? Let's go ahead and get started. This is kind of a different time together today. We don't do very many of these when we're doing our math together. So we're gonna take one at a time. I know you're gonna wanna work ahead, but please don't. Let's go ahead and start with this one. 10 more than 175 is. And I'm gonna cover this up so you guys can't even look ahead. 10 more than 175. How do you know what place is changing? Where is that in the 10? Which number is in that place? Well, places are staying the same. Digits are staying the same. Talk to me. And remember, you guys can always pause if you need a moment to finish thinking this out. Please feel free to pause. 10 more than 175 is what? If you got that same answer, 185, I want you to wiggle waggle. All right, what place changed? Your tens place. And what number is in your tens place? Your 7, okay? Your 5 is in what place? Your ones. Your 7, you say, is worth in your tens. And what's in the hundreds place? Hundreds. How did you know that your tens place is going to be the number that changed? Because in the number 10, you have 0 ones and 1 10. And you're doing 10 more. So 1 more than 7 is 8. So 1 more 10 than 7 tens is 8 tens. And we have our 185. If I were to draw out 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 175, and I were to add my 10, for those of you who need to see that, I didn't add any ones, I didn't add any hundreds, but now so I still have my 100. Now I have 8 tens, there's my 7 and 1 more, and my 5 ones. What if I wanted to add 100 to 175? Then what would my number be? What place is changing? How do you know? I noticed that you labeled something on both of your numbers, the 100 and the 175. What did you label underneath of those? Hundreds, tens, and ones. Hundreds, tens, and ones. And why did you label your HTO under each of those digits? So my friend here says that they see that there's no tens that we're adding and no ones, so those are going to stay the same. But when you look at the hundreds, there's a 100 here and a 100 here, so that's 200. So our tens and our ones are the same. And our hundreds place changed because when we look at this number 100, we have our H, we have our own, the only digit we have that has something in it is that hundreds place. Ooh, let's look at the next one. Ooh, let's read this one carefully. This one's a little tricky, okay? 493 is 10 more than, ooh. So are we trying to figure out what 10 more than 493? Or are we finding out how much this one is 10 more than what? So is our number that's going to go right here, is it bigger or smaller? How much smaller is it going to be? 10 more or 10 less, right? We have our hundreds, tens, and ones. So what places are going to stay the same? My hundreds, because there's no hundreds in the 10. My ones. Okay, so then now we need to know, how will my tens place change? So 493 is 10 more than 403. What did you write? Why 8? Because 9 is one more 10. 9 tens is one more 10 than 8 tens. Does everybody understand that? Let's take a peek at our next one. Oh my goodness, this is good to have this extra practice. Again, what place changed? My tens place. Why didn't my hundreds and my ones place change? There were 0 ones and no hundreds. Ooh, let's look at this one. 998 is than 898. What are we going to do first? Why are we going to look at the place that changed? It'll give us a clue, won't it? It's not always going to be surefire, but it'll certainly give us a clue. So what did you do first? What do you notice? Hundreds, tens, and ones. Hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay, my ones place, they're 8s. My tens place, they're 9s. My hundreds place is what changed. So 998 is 10 than? Is 998 more or less than 898? It's more. How much more? 100, right? 9 hundreds is 100 more than 8 hundreds. See that pattern? The hundreds place is what changed. It's 100 more. All right, I'm gonna put this down for a bit. 10 more than 309 is what? Do this on your own. What's going to change? What did you do first? What did you notice? What place changed? How did you know that place changed? Because there was the 1 in the tens place. Okay? All right, talk to me. What did you do? I thought that was interesting that you set that up right underneath of it. Well, how is that helpful? You have your hundreds, your tens, and your ones. There's 3 hundreds in 309. There's 0 tens, and there's 1 9. So, so you notice that your 3 is not going to change. Your 9 is not going to change. And what is going to change? Your tens place. We had 0, but now you have a 1 that you're adding. So 0 tens plus 1 10 is 110. Ooh. So 10 more than 309 is 319. You know what that makes me think of? Our 6 changing to 16 when we added that 10. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time doing that. And you did that in first grade too, didn't you? All right, here's a humdinger for you. I saved it for last on purpose. Blank is 10 more than 493. Blank is 10 more than 493. What do you notice? What place is changing? So how do you write that? What did you do first? Okay, so you know that 9 tens and 1 10 is what? 10 tens. What's 10 tens worth? Ooh, so where are we going to, what digits are we going to change? Are we just going to change 1? What are we going to do? What did you do first? You knew your 3 was going to stay the same. Oh, you said 49 tens, and one more 10 is 50 tens. So how did you write that? Ooh. Okay, friends, let's come together. Remember, you can pause if you need just a few more moments. Everyone I talked to said that that 3 was going to stay the same. Agree? Lots of wiggle waggles. And how did you know that that 3 was going to stay the same? Because in the tens place, that 1's place as a 0 in it, right? So when we had that number 10. Now, I have a couple friends who said some different things about our changing of our other digits, okay? So talk to me about what you did, my love. Okay, so you knew that 400, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you had your 3. And when you added a 10, that 9 became 10 tens. And you know that 10 tens is worth 100. So you exchange that in your mind to 100. 10 tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And I can just trade that, right? I can trade my 10 sticks of 10 for a flat of 100. And then I have my 5 tens, or 500, sorry. I have 0 tens because I traded all of those, right? And I have my 3 ones still. Okay? But somebody else said something different. What did you say over here? 49 tens and 3 ones. Okay? So 49 and one more 10, right? 10 more than 49 is 50 tens. And where do you see the 50 tens in this number that our other friends figured out? So 500s is the same as saying 50 tens, right? Here's 10 tens, here's 10 tens, here's 10 tens, here's 10 tens, and here's 10 tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 tens. So there's your 50 tens, if you want to think of it that way. And then you have your 3 ones that hasn't changed. 49 tens plus 1 10 is 50 tens, and then we have our 3 ones. Can I ask you a question? I'm going to do it in a little different color. Why did we not write 4, 10, and then 3? Why didn't we write, I'm going to turn that a little bit. Why didn't we write that as 4 tens, 10 tens, and then 3 ones? It's not a 3-digit number anymore, is it? No. So that's no longer a 3-digit number. That's not 500, it's 4,000. 4,103. That doesn't make sense, does it? When we're just adding 100, or we're just adding 10, we're not going to get into the thousands if we're only in 493. We're going to go to that next 100, not to that next 1,000. So remember that when we do get this 10 tens, we've got to trade it for our 100. So then we have our 500, and then we have our 3. So we've got to trade that 10 tens out for the 100 so that we can see that. All right, friends, as we wrap this up, we are going to look for some patterns, and I want you to do all 3 of these on your own, and then we're going to plug them in together. So take a minute, look for these patterns, and with those patterns, I'll remind you, friends, to make sure that you look to see what digit is changing, just like you did all up here. 170, 180, 190. What would the next 3 numbers be? 289, 389, next 3 numbers, and then we have our 789, and then 565, 575, 3 more numbers, and we get to 615. What would you plug into those missing spots? Go ahead and get started. I'm going to start over here and listen. What digit is changing? So what would the next 10 be? And what about the next one? Okay. What would the last number be in that pattern? Why did your hundreds place change too? You have your 9 tens again, a lot like this one right here, right? On your second pattern, I see you plugged in that first one. In that second pattern, what digit is changing? How do you know that it's the hundreds place is changing? Because your 8 and your 9 are staying the same both at the beginning. And they're at the end. Absolutely. You see 789. So what are those numbers that are going to go in those blanks? What's going to go in that last row? We go from 575 to 615. What place is changing? I see the hundreds and the ones change, or hundreds and the tens changing from 575 to 615. Why are both of them changing? It's the tens, okay. Oh, and then after 95 comes, gotcha. All right, friends, it's come together. Talk to me, my loves. What's going to come next in this first one? How do you know? 70, 80, 90, the next 100. Okay, so then what's going to come here? So why did the hundreds and the ones and the tens change here if we're just adding 10? It's like 19 tens and then 20 tens, a lot like this one, right? Oh yes, I love seeing that pattern. So 190, and just like 90 goes to 100, 190 goes to 200, and then 210, 220. What will come next? 230, 240, wonderful. What about this one? What do we notice? The hundreds place is changing, so what's going to come next? 489, 589, 689, and then 789. So we're seeing that hundreds place changing. It's going up by 100 every time. And how about this last one? How did you know that the tens place was changing? 5 and 5 here, 5 and 5 here. Even that 5 over here is staying the same. So we know our ones place is going to have a 0 in it. Okay, we're not adding that. But then that 500s, 500. So we have 65, 75, 585, 595. Okay, so what's going to come here? Our 5 is going to stay the same in the ones, and then what? Why 60 tens? You're adding a 10 every time. So 6 tens to 7 tens to 8 tens to 9 tens to 10 tens. So we have our 59 tens, and then we can hop up to that 60 tens, and then we have another 10 here. So that tens places change back to changing again. Your practice today on your own is some more problems just like this, getting in that pattern of adding your tens and adding a 10 and adding 100 to these 3-digit numbers. Pay close attention to what place is changing, and you can always go back and look at this chart to help yourself. Happy solving!